since we began the semester, we've been asking people to like CCM on Facebook, and then their name would be put into a drawing to receive $25 worth of tickets to Moe's, Moe's. The drawing was held today, and the lucky winner is a boy named Joe Flynn. Joe Flynn, are you here? Joe Flynn? Joseph Flynn? Jay Flynn? Okay, we'll give him to him at 9 o'clock. Hopefully it comes at 9. Any of you read the book by Mitch Albom called Tuesdays with Maury? Written in 1997, Maury was Mitch's teacher back in Brandeis University and absolutely his mentor. He looked up to him very much. They lost contact. 16 years he hadn't seen Maury, and all of a sudden happened upon him. But this time, Maury was a fraction of himself. He had contracted Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And every Tuesday for 14 Tuesdays, they met at what was called the last class day. And they discussed important things in life, like love, commitment, suffering. And on the 12th Tuesday, they talked about forgiveness. And through his tears, Mr. Schwartz told him, you have to forgive yourself, and you have to forgive others, and you have to do it now. And he explained the reason. He said that one of his best friends and he had a falling out, and, for pride and stubbornness, Maury was not willing to forgive this man. And that man died. And Maury never had a chance to forgive his friend. And he went to his grave, actually, so sad that he couldn't have forgiven his friend. So the advice was great. Forgive yourself, forgive others, and do it now. Easier said than done. When I was a young priest in 1987, I had the marriage of two people named Joanna and Jim, who were the most in love I'd ever seen any couple. Really a wonderful couple. And 20 years and 5 children later, I get a phone call out of the blue from Joanna, telling me that Jim had had an affair. I was kind of shocked. And she said he didn't have one affair or 2 affairs. He had 3 affairs. And he confessed that to me this morning. And she's telling me this through her sobbing. And I said to her, how do you feel? She says, I'm angry. I want to hurt him. I said, that's okay. Those are natural reactions. I said, but here's the rub. Do you love him? She said, I do love him. I said, do you want to forgive him? She said, I do, but I don't think I can do it right now. I said, Joanna, that's okay, because forgiveness is a process. In her book, The Scent of Jasmine, Patricia McCarthy describes forgiveness as a gift and as a process. When we receive the gift of God's forgiveness, she says, we are drawn into the process of forgiveness. And forgiveness is a process. It's not a feeling. To enter into this process is to enter into continual conversion. Forgiveness requires faith. It requires effort. It requires determination. Notice that Peter says, Lord, when my brother sins against me. He doesn't say, when my neighbor sins against me. And that got me to thinking, a brother or a sibling is closer to us. Someone we see on a regular basis. Our neighbor, if they offend us, we may not see that person for ages. So it could be easily forgotten. But a brother, we see regularly. Spouses see each other regularly. Siblings, boyfriends, girlfriends, roommates, suitemates. How often should you forgive? 7 times? Peter thought he was being funny because the law prescribed 3 times. So he's being gallant. 7 times? Jesus says 77 times. Infinity times. The process that McCarthy talks about, James Martin, the Jesuit, actually finishes. He says, yes, forgiveness is a process that happens in 3 stages. He said the first one is indeed. So go back to Joanna and Jim, okay? My advice to her was, she was angry, she was upset. Do not go out and have an affair yourself, girl. That would not solve it. Indeed, you can't do the same thing. If someone punched you in the nose, don't punch the person back. That's the first step, the first stage, deed. The second one is word. How quickly it could happen that if you're angry and upset, you could go talking behind that person's back and make a ruined name for that person. So indeed is the second stage. And the third is most important, thought. Because when you're hurt, when you're suffering, when someone offended you, what's the thing you want to do? You want to rehash it. You want to rethink it because you don't want to let it go. It feels good to be angry and to hate, and someone perpetrated an act against you, you are upset. Thought is the hardest thing, the hardest part of the stage of forgiveness. Just think of the survivors of the victim, people who got killed on 9/11. Henry Van Dyke, a poet, says, time is too slow for those who wait, too swift for those who fear, too long for those who grieve, too short for those who rejoice, but for those who love, time is eternity. Tonight, we can add, time is too short to harbor grudges, too short to live in revenge, too hope-filled to not to try to change, too filled with God's love to not accept his power to heal the past and to move on. Jesus says it even better. Forgive us our sins only as much as we are willing to forgive the sins